She's the friend who'll show up with coffee or wine when you need it most, but probably wine. Good vibes are on the way. Welcome to Erin O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency.
Hi, it's Erin. Welcome back to Erin O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency. I so love that you are here with me today. It is Pride Month, and oh my gosh, did I find the best guest for you. I've been following this guy for years on Instagram, ever since seeing him on a TikTok video back in 2021. And I just immediately fell in love with this guy. He was offering to be a stand-in dad to walk somebody down the aisle if their own family members basically disowned them, didn't want to be part of the wedding because of who they love, who they were going to marry. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great human. Well, then he went on to create Stand in Pride, and you are going to hear all about it. His name is Dan Blevins. This organization is so big now, they have their own app. It started off as a Facebook page, and it has grown and grown through the years. And I wish it wasn't a needed nonprofit, but I'm so grateful that he exists and he created it. I hope you enjoy this incredible time that I had just on Friday with Dan. So I am here with somebody I have been following on Instagram for years, and I just think he's such a remarkable human. And of all times to get him during Pride Month, I'm so excited. This is Dan Blevins. How are you?
I'm great, Erin. It's so great to meet you, and I appreciate you having me here.
Oh my gosh, I so appreciate you taking time to be here. You are the founder of an organization that I wish wasn't necessary, but I'm so thankful exists, and it's called Stand in Pride. So this all started with a TikTok video. Can you tell me, did you have any idea when you made that it would go crazy viral? Because I remember seeing that and crying.
I didn't, and I often tell people, had I known what would happen, I wouldn't have done it.
Oh, really?
No. I'm a huge introvert. You know, this may be a surprise to you, but had I known that I would be on podcasts and on TV and doing interviews and things like that, it would have terrified me. So luckily, I didn't have any clue about what was going to happen, and so I posted that video to TikTok 4 years ago. So it was 2021.
Right.
And that first video did not go super viral, like 60,000 views. But there was enough of a response from people on both sides. People saying, oh, I would love to do this. I want to stand in too. And other people saying, you know, the majority of people saying, I'm not getting married, but I would love to have somebody in my life, a parental figure. Oh. And so that's where the spark came from. It's like, how can we connect the two? Because it's hard to do that, like in the comments section of a video. So
sure.
Stand in Pride was born on a Facebook group that I started in late January 2021.
And what's insane is that it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And you know, I know you've said before, like, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. And I feel like a lot of people that are reaching out, like, really need help and something more than I can provide. So you said earlier, you're like, oh, I'm not that busy. Don't even tell me you weren't busy then trying to help all these people.
Within the first 24 hours, we had 1,000 members in that first group.
Wow.
By the end of 2024, there were 26 total groups around the world with more than 300,000 members.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It just exploded. I had people from Australia, from Canada, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, all saying, you know, can we have a Stand in Pride group for our country? So people, you know, were creating their group for their country, and it just continued to grow.
Sorry that you feel as though you're an introvert, but wow, talk about something in life that throws you out of the box that you're comfy in.
Oh yeah, I've been on the Rachel Ray show. I've been on the Today Show, um, ABC Nightline, NBC News. Like all of these things just pick me up out of my comfort zone and just, just kind of it's been a wild experience because I told a friend of mine, she's like, "How are you handling this?" And I'm like, "I don't think about it. So I don't get in my head about it. So when
Mhm.
somebody sends me an email, I try my best to say yes, and do what I can, and not cut myself off. So I've always said I won't turn down an opportunity to talk about stand in pride because you never know when somebody that needs it will learn that that we exist.
Oh my gosh, when I emailed you and you emailed back, I screamed. I was so excited. My husband's like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" And I told him about you and he goes, "I want to stand in for somebody." Like it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful idea and it also and I think that this is super important too. You were saying in one of the videos that I watched, like yes, maybe there are some people who would just love to have a stand in sister at their wedding. But many, many, many people in the community really want somebody that they can consider family after their own family wants nothing to do with them because of who they choose to love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's more, to me, stand in pride, the weddings get the attention,
Sure.
that just tugs at everybody's heart, but it's the day to day things
Hmm.
that we take for granted. I remember a post in one of our Facebook groups. Somebody said, my mom used to make this recipe, and I would love like the nostalgia of having this dish. Can somebody tell me how to make it? So
Oh, that's
all the
so
moms are
sweet.
like, yes, I'll help you make it. And we had a young trans man going for a job interview, and he couldn't tie a tie. So all the dads were like, I'll help you. So just little things like that. We had another person that was filling out applications for college and needed help with
Oh,
that. So things that normally family and friends would help you do, but so many of us in the community don't have that anymore. So those are the often overlooked stories, just because they're not as big as a wedding.
they just put tears in my eyes thinking about it though, because that's such it's just such a wonderful visual that you painted to pull people in that don't really understand the day-to-day of it.
Right.
And I'm I'm grateful that you were able to put that into words like that because it really does remind you what family and friends do to get you through days and events and things and what an incredible organization Stand in Pride is. I'm so proud of you for starting it. So you either
Thank you.
had incredible supportive parents and family or people that are the reason that you started this because you didn't get that. Which one was it? I feel like it had to have been one of the two extremes.
Um, Actually, I'm in the middle. I have a relationship with my parents, um, and they're supportive to a degree, if that makes any sense. Like, all the media attention over the past 4 years, they want nothing to do with that. I don't think they're willing to stick their neck out for me in that way, but I know they love me in their way. So we have, it's complicated, I
I'm sorry if
guess.
that was too personal. I
It's
just was like,
not,
wow, he
it's
must have
not.
had
And
amazing parents.
I do have amazing parents. They are amazing. And I know that they love me. And I know that their love is not conditional, but it does come with some provisions, if that makes any sense. And they support me as much as they can.
I get that. Are you originally from Tennessee? Because that's where you are now, I know.
Born and raised, yes, in this little small town. Our county has a population of like 20,000.
Wow. How fun
Yeah.
is it living in a red state?
Um, I think I'm just so numb to it
Yeah.
that I recognize it. Like I don't, walk around with blinders on. I recognize it, but it's like it doesn't affect my life as much just because I'm used to it.
Right.
So I know the safe parts of town. I know the people that I should avoid, kind of thing. So
Do you have pride celebrations there?
no, no. Just yesterday, I saw a truck driving around with the largest Confederate flag I've ever seen, flying, waving behind it, and that's a daily occurrence here. That's kind of what it's like. So I I call my home pride Knoxville Pride, which is the largest city near me, which was Knoxville, Tennessee. So that's my pride organization that I support.
Well, you are welcome. With a mat, I will roll out for you anytime. I live just south of Boston, and we are expecting 1.5 million people at the Pride Parade in Boston tomorrow.
Wow, it's tomorrow. Cool. Stand in Pride hasn't had like in real life presence at Pride because there's like a whole lot of organization, and I'm terrible at organizing things like that. But I just started planning our very first parade entry for Knoxville Pride, which our Pride is October. So our Pride, the parade is on Friday, and then the festival is on Saturday. So we're going to do our very first entry for Stand in Pride.
That is so great. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Now, it's just something that I guess I'm privileged as a straight white woman that I've never had to think about somebody being cruel to me because of whom I'm in a relationship with and who I love and my husband. Is that when you plan something and you have something big coming up to celebrate the community, do you have to have some sort of security? Are you concerned about that?
Um, I've never experienced that. I'm sure, like Knox Pride, I think they are, they worked with the Knoxville City Police,
Mhm.
who are, they have police officers presence at the parade and festival. So, like, I've never had to experience that personally. Now, I've been, you know, um, not physically assaulted, but verbally at different places, but never. Usually, just a coward driving by. They're
Yeah.
not in my face type thing.
Mhm.
So, I've found that most of these people now here, I can't say for everywhere, but here most of them are cowards. So they'll drive
Yeah.
by and yell at you or something, but they don't confront you because I'm not little.
Go ahead, confront me. I dare you. That's like the keyboard warriors in a basement somewhere going, "Oh,
Right.
I hate
Yeah.
you." And yeah, okay,
That
you're
that's
real
why
tough.
I love that's one of my favorite things to do is make fun of people like that online.
Oh, I
Um
love when you do that on
yeah.
Instagram and you
Yeah.
show like their pictures and
Their
stuff. That is
face.
one of my favorite things you
Yeah.
do. That just, of course, makes their fire go.
Yeah. So I'm a big troll too, I guess, because I love to troll the trolls.
I feel like that cancels itself out, though. Like
It
I don't
does.
think there's anything wrong with going after those that are going after you
Right.
and other people just because they don't approve of something. That is like,
Right.
mind your own life.
I think it's a defense mechanism too for me. It's like, I'm not going to let you get to me because this
Mhm.
really doesn't matter. And I block a lot of people just because I'm like, you're not worth my time. I'm not going to sit and argue with a stranger on the internet. So typically I will leave one comment to somebody and then I move on with my life because they're not worth my time. So I wish a lot of younger people would figure that out too because you're never going to change their minds. You can
I
present
know.
them with science based facts and they're never going to change their mind. So why use up your energy? And it took me a while to figure that out as a content creator. But now I'm just like, to me, the worst thing is not to respond to, you know, their obvious gaslighting. When you're trying to get
Yeah.
somebody riled up, the best thing you can do is not respond. That makes them so mad.
Oh my
I've,
gosh. It absolutely does. My favorite is when they change their name and you know it's them. Like they've
yeah.
created a new account to continue harassing. It's like, dude, you're using the exact same language and bad
Mhm.
spelling that you did 3 comments ago. Come on.
And who has that time? Like, can you imagine having that sort of life that's what you live for? I mean, the comments that we get, especially on our Facebook page, not my personal page, but the Stand In Pride page, it's like people have these photos of like the pride flag burning or, just weird photos. And they have that saved on their phone so they can leave it in a comment section. And it's like, how weird is that? Like, I don't have a single picture on my phone that I'm saving for the moment that I can leave in somebody's comment section. Like, the mentality, and a lot of it, I think, is they want the attention. Like, they're just starved for
Absolutely.
attention.
They have to be, because
Yeah.
seriously, I'm trying to think of anything on my phone that I've ever kept to post somewhere. That's insane to me,
It is.
especially something hateful like that. Like, oh my gosh, get a hobby. That is so sad.
It
It's
is.
really hard though not to go down the rabbit hole. Just as an ally, it's hard because I try to give, again, logic, which does not work. Really, do you think that somebody would choose a path where they know that trolls like you will get all over them if they had a choice? If they,
Right.
like, this is not, they're not, these people are just trying to live their lives. Nobody is trying to look for the attention that you haters are trying to look for. I have a dear friend I went to high school with who was married to a woman for I want to say like 8 years or something, and finally he's like, I am a gay man and I'm going to live my life as such. And I thought, that is the most brave thing. You could have just gone on living your life miserable, maybe secretly hooking up or finding somebody in you're free. There's a
Yeah,
freedom. There's got to be a freedom of, I am just going to be me.
exactly. I was married to a woman for 5 years.
Oh my gosh, you were?
I was, yeah. Yeah, I have 2 adult children and 6 grandchildren.
Is it the same kind of thing where you were trying to see
I
if that
was,
was?
yeah. I grew up in like very involved in the evangelical church. So I believed what they told me, find a nice girl, get married, and do the right thing. And I didn't think I had a choice. I didn't think I could be gay.
Mhm.
I knew that I was different, but I didn't think that that was an option for me based on where I live. Not really my family, but because there was never any like homophobia growing up in
Mhm.
my home. But I saw it in my community. And so we dated through high school and got married right after high school and had 2 children and made it work for 5 years. And I didn't leave her for a man, but when things started falling apart, I was not receptive to fixing them, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like
It does
I
make sense.
I wanted out,
Mhm.
but now I never came out till many years later.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was it when you finally did? Was it just like,
I was sick to my stomach.
oh,
Just
I'm
I think
s-
just from the emotion of it. Like my husband and I have been together for 26 years or 25 years. We met in 2000. So we've just been married for 6 years. But
wow.
we we lived together and we were roommates, at first. And
Air
my
quotes.
my ex-wife and I, we co-parented, so we had joint custody of the kids, and so I was part of their lives growing up. He was part of their lives. We just never made it a thing until they were grown, and that was intentional because I knew she would cause problems.
Mm.
As far as I didn't want my kids to be taken away from me, so I still felt like I had to hide who I was when they were little. But we got married 6 years ago in 2019, and my best friend's husband is a wedding photographer, and so we eloped. We didn't tell anybody we were getting married, but I told my best friend, and she's like, "You have to let us come." And I was like, "Okay," because it was a courthouse wedding. And she's like, "You have to let Josh do pictures too." And I'm like, "Okay," because there's no arguing with your bestie. So we
I got that
we
right.
did that, and we did like a little photo shoot after the wedding, and he posted those to Facebook, and that was like our coming out.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it was like
Birth
It
by
was,
fire right there.
oh yeah. But I told him, and my husband, he's very low key. You don't see him in my content. Like he's very supportive, but he's like, I don't want to be on the, I don't want nothing to do
Hmm.
with that. But he agreed. I'm like, this is our opportunity to be the representation we didn't have here.
Yeah.
And it worked. Within weeks of that, I had people messaging me on Facebook coming out to me. They're like, I've never told anybody this, but I know I can
Oh,
trust you. I had parents saying, my child has told me they're gay. What do I do? How do I be supportive? So as, and it affected our personal lives too. Like we're business owners. I'm a salon owner, and so I lost some clients over, this public display, which they
found
were
out who they
replaced.
were though, didn't you?
Exactly. But I knew, like none of it was a surprise. And they were okay with us. Even with him and like they were friendly with us, as long as we stayed hidden. But if we're going to be, out loud and proud, they weren't a part of that. And that's fine. They were replaced very quickly. But,
I like that.
but that was our big coming out, and it worked because I became known as somebody in my community that queer people can look up to and can trust. And that's what I always wish I had here, because I think my life would have been completely opposite if I had known that it was okay to be me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So when people come to you and ask for advice and stuff, and obviously, you can tell them as much as you can tell them, but then is there ever a time where, you've had somebody that is just in a really bad headspace that you're like, okay, I want you to go here or call a number, or, I mean, do you feel like you sometimes are a mediator for people to help them out like that?
Yes and no. A lot of people, like, I do keep like information for the Trevor Project, things like that,
Mhm.
numbers that people can call for mental health services. And a lot of our members, our allies on Stand In Pride, I get messages from people saying, this person needs more help than I can offer. And I'm like, and I have to remind them, they're not asking you to fix them.
Mhm.
Please remember, they're telling you their problems because they need someone to talk to, but they don't expect you to do anything but listen and be supportive. I think anybody with any mental health issues, they know there are professionals, and they know that there are people that they can confide in, and they know
Yeah.
the difference. So a lot of our allies, they mean well, but they want to fix it. They want to fix everything. And so, and
Yeah,
that,
we're like that.
right. And they get in their head and get overwhelmed, and they're like, I can't do this. And I'm just like, you're thinking, you need to change what your perspective of this. They're not asking you to fix these problems in their life. They just want somebody to talk to. And
Yeah.
sometimes just saying things out loud that's what therapy is. You're just saying
Sure.
these things out loud. And, but yeah, it's kind of, there's kind of a balance there, because, and I have to remind people too, you don't get to the point where you're looking for strangers on the internet to become your family and not have some baggage and not have
Sure.
some trauma. So I just have to remind people of that, and myself sometimes, because I'm a fixer. I wanna fix things too.
You put up something so brilliant about a teachable moment for allies. There was a bride that was looking for letters. Will you tell me about that? Because I saw the clip and I went, wow, this is really smart that he's putting this out here.
So somebody tagged me in a video on TikTok, and the video was Emma, and Emma is engaged to Katie. Katie's mom passed away, and they're getting married in October. And Emma would come up with the idea of asking for moms on the internet or mother figures, to write a letter of encouragement, whatever they wanted to write to Katie. And she's going to present these letters to Katie on their wedding day.
So
And so
sweet.
I shared the message because it's something really simple and sweet that, all of these moms that are part of Stand in Pride are always looking for something that they can do. And immediately, and it's kind of a mentality of people on the internet too. They're like, well, what does Katie like? What does it matter? Like, what does that
Yeah.
have to do with anything? But it was a teachable moment because people wanted to make it bigger than what it was. Like you could literally just go buy a wedding, like a card, and mail it.
Right.
It didn't have to be that deep, but people wanted to know, what things that Katie liked. And I can't remember what else I said in that video.
So, you said some people were like, "Oh, I'll come to the
Oh
wedding.
yeah,
Where's the wedding?
yeah.
When's the wedding?"
And
Like, oh my
people
gosh, they just wanted a card.
people are just like, they just pounce on this, and even not attacking, but like pouncing on Emma, saying, can we come, and it's like,
Yeah.
you when you're Emma in this situation, it's like, this is so overwhelming already, and then you have this whole other
Yeah.
thing that you're having to politely tell people, that's not what I'm looking for. So,
Right.
and it's with the best of intentions, but people just get really caught up in the moment, and they forget that we as queer people are capable of saying, this is what I need, nothing more,
Mm-hmm.
nothing less. And I even had somebody on Facebook trying to argue with me, and then she's like, well, I just feel like sometimes that queer people, are afraid to ask for more. And it's like, we're adults. That's kind of infantilizing our entire community, thinking that we don't know what we need or what we want. And I see that a lot. I see a lot of people in the ally community trying to, tell us what we need rather than just listening, because we're telling you all
Right.
the time what we need. And that video wasn't well received. By a
It
few.
wasn't?
By a few.
Oh.
I did get some very hateful messages because
Oh my gosh, I thought it was amazing.
and there was a lot of other people did too, but people, like, I don't like mincing. Like, I don't feel like I should have to sugarcoat things to speak to you as an adult.
Yeah.
This, like, and a lot of people just need those kid gloves on sometimes because they can't handle any sort of constructive criticism. Because I wasn't being mean.
Not at all.
I was just, saying, this is a moment where we can learn how to be better allies. And I do that fairly often when things like this arise, that I can, help allies, be better.
You weren't trying to offend. I mean, you could not have been more clear
Right.
and kind about it, but also very informative, which is clearly what people
Yeah.
needed in that moment of, can you back off? They don't need 350 people showing up at a wedding
Right.
that 20 are supposed to be there for.
Yeah. But those allies that get upset by that, I have found in my experience, they're the ones that are just in it for the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're not really living it. It's just for show.
You even said something about this isn't rainbows and puppy dogs or so when you were saying, because I think this is a really excellent point as well. If you're going to be an ally for Stand in Pride and you really want to be part of this, you're making a commitment. And if you don't want to make that commitment, if for whatever reason it's too much, whatever it is, then there are other ways. They can donate to standinpride.org. They can go to parades and things, and they can support in other ways, wear shirts, etc. If you are not willing to make that commitment to really be there for somebody that has lost their family because their family doesn't approve of who they love, then find another way to help, which I thought was even a great way to say it, instead of like, we'll find something else to do. You were very kind about it.
But some people don't take that as kindness, like, it's kind of like when you talk about spiritual things, when something upsets your soul, obviously that's an issue with you, not with me. like by
Right.
something I said. So I don't take offense to that. I get annoyed by it, but I just know that people are in different places at different times. And hopefully, I love that remember the words that I said, and hopefully at some point it will click in their head and say, this is what he was talking about. So it may not
Hmm.
click right away, but hopefully that's my hope that eventually something will come up and say, this is what he meant.
That's absolutely, I think, the right way to be, because otherwise you'd have no energy left.
It's
If you put the
exhausting.
energy into all these people that get upset about everything, you would
Oh,
have no
yes.
energy to breathe.
It's
Seriously.
exhausting.
It's got to be
Yeah.
exhausting. So I know that this started on Facebook, and recently the Facebook page is closed to new people, and you had some fits being thrown about that, but you have an amazing app now that
Yeah.
helps people worldwide. So why would people, just maybe because it's what they know and people don't like change or something? I think that the app, I have it on my phone. I think it's really cool and a great tool to help even more people than I think a Facebook page with comments can do.
Right. Yeah. I think it's change. Like I resist change too. It was not easy. It was not an easy decision
Hmm.
because everything with our Facebook groups, like it was a well-oiled machine. I had people, I had volunteer moderators helping me run these groups. Everything was familiar. And then when
Hmm.
you take people out of that and put them in a different space, there was some backlash, and it was like unexpected because when we started talking about the app, when we started fundraising for the app and everything, I guess people just assumed that we would have both, because I
Mm.
don't have a life. I should be able to do all of these things.
The man does more than just sit on his computer, people. He's busy.
Yeah, I've got rescue cat. My husband and I are rescue. We have rescue cats. I have a full
Oh, I
time
love
job.
that.
I have grandchildren. I have children. I have parents. I have a lot of things going on. So people just assume that, why can't you do both? But the whole point of having the app was Facebook isn't always a safe space for queer people. And from the very beginning, a lot of people were like, I would love to be a part of Sin and Pride, but Facebook is just too toxic. I just can't be on there.
Yeah.
And so that really cut a lot of people out of, finding support or even offering support too. So that's the biggest reason the app come about is, we need our own platform that is available to everyone. And we do have plans in the future to offer to set up a web page that people can access, too, without needing the
Oh,
app.
great.
But yeah, I'm learning. Like I really got my feelings hurt about that. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's kind of like a social media app
Mhm.
for the community, right?
That's exactly how I explain it. It's like our very own social media platform. So we
Yeah.
encourage, and I don't see it a lot in my community, but we encourage people to share things on there. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to just always be business as usual. If something great happened to you, share that. Let people
Hmm.
interact. But yeah, it didn't come out of the blue. Like I didn't just wake up and say, "Here's an app." Get take it or
Right.
leave it. It was like this was a long process. We and so much work went into. Like I had no idea how much work goes into these sort of things, and still goes into these things. I'm running a nonprofit too, on top
Right.
of this app, and some days I'm just like, why did I
I
put
just,
myself
I'm,
through
I'm
this?
watching from a distance as you just keep digging yourself in.
Yeah. And it's like, what is wrong with me? But I enjoy it, and the occasional comment, thank you for, because of you, I now have I have a mom, or just little comments or messages that I get like that, remind me of why I put myself in this position.
Now, do you remember the first wedding that you stood in for?
Her name is Keisha, and she lives 2 hours south of me. So she was the first wedding that I was able to stand in for. I've been to other weddings just as a guest, but this was the
Mhm.
first one that I was a stand-in dad, and um, it was very special. Like, just I just remember when we got there, we had text, on, but hadn't met, other than just texting back and forth, making plans for the wedding day. And so I showed up the day of the wedding, and it's just like we were family. Like, she
Oh,
calls me dad. She's my daughter. Um, I wish we lived closer, so we could see each other more, but
mhm.
she knows I'm here if she needs me. And that's kind of how all my stand-in kids relationship is. Like, I may go a month and not hear from somebody. I have a son named James that he'll just pop out of the blue, like, "Hey, Dad, how are you? What's up?"
Oh,
And it's just the greatest thing. So they that line of communication is open, but I was never a helicopter parent, so I'm not hovering,
mhm.
So,
I like that.
um,
I'm here if
but
you need me.
exactly, and they know that I'm busy. They know that I'm juggling a lot of things. But as soon as that message comes in, they get a reply right back that so they know that I'm there. But I just stood in for a wedding back at the end of March too.
Oh, wow.
That was the most recent one.
I love that you do this. I love that you
Yeah.
started this. And I know that wasn't it Sarah Cunningham that was an inspiration to you because she's the mom hug woman, right?
She's the founder of Free Mom Hugs. Yes, I saw an interview of her, and she was on like 60 Minutes or something, and she was talking about her story is a lot different than mine because her son is gay, and so her story is kind of her learning acceptance because she wasn't accepting at first. She fought with her religious upbringing, and to make sense of this because she loved her son and she wasn't going to turn away from him,
Mhm.
but she had a lot of work to do. And so I saw a Facebook post that she had made. I don't even remember what year it was, but it's been several years ago. If your parents won't come to your wedding, I will. I'll be your mom. And I was
Mm.
like, I want to do that as a dad. And they do a lot of outreach, but the majority of what they do is, they wear free mom hugs or free dad hug shirts at pride events and different things.
Yeah.
And so Sarah and I have become friends. Like, she'll text me out of the blue. We've met a couple of times since then, since I started Stand in Pride. She has been so supportive. If she needs me, I'll be there too. So I gained a friend out of it too.
I love that. It
Yeah,
seems like you've gained a lot of friends and
I have.
family, which is
I have.
terrific.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope you feel the love and the appreciation. Just as an ally, I feel such I just want to hug you. I think that you have started something so beautiful and inspiring, and I know that you're an introvert and you probably don't love the attention, and but know that I'm glad that you have bursted out of the introvert
Yeah.
enough to do this
I,
because
I
you
was
are making a
forced out.
difference every day. You were
Yeah.
forced out, but I'm so glad. I'm
I
so
am
glad.
too. I am like, I don't regret, like, when I don't want that to be misconstrued when I said I wouldn't have done it. Um, I would have been too scared to do it had I known where this would go, but I don't regret a single bit of it. I'm so thankful, and I'm proud. I'm so proud that my little voice here in this small town in Tennessee carried far enough to bring, I think, over 70,000 people now on the app
Wow.
together.
Wow.
Hundreds and thousands of people follow me just to see what I'm going to say next, which is weird to
Because it's
me.
always
But
fun. We can't
I do.
wait.
I love making people laugh too. Like, I posted a video recently, and several people were like, "Why aren't you a comedian?" I'm like, "I think I'm the funniest person I
You
know." Right?
are funny though. It's not just in your head. You're really funny.
But yeah, I don't regret it, and I'm super proud of it. And I've said it before, but this has taught me that there is so much love in this world. It seems like the negative and the hate is louder, but the love is there, and it can drown it out if you let it, if you focus on the love. And just seeing so many people willing to stand in, like I have people messaging me like, nobody's picked me yet. And I'm like,
Oh
I understand you're hurt that you want to be there for somebody, but think about
my
this.
gosh.
It's a good thing that they don't need you. That's kind of what we're hoping for.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sarah and I did an interview. We actually did it was like a corporate event together a couple years ago, and she and I were talking about it. The question was, where do you see your organization? Where do you each see your organization going? And she's like, I'm pretty sure we want to be out of business. We want to be put out of business. Like
Oh,
we don't want to be needed in this way.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's exactly, I would love to shut all this down because it's not needed.
Yeah. I think that is an amazing end goal. And I so hope that it gets there. But in the meantime, I love that it exists and that you exist and that you are
Oh,
making such a difference. It's just, oh, you take my breath away.
uh,
I love who you are and what you've done. And if we want to help, what can we do?
download the app. Go to your app store, search
Mm.
Stand In Pride. Download the app. Get signed up. Leave a little introduction post, and people in your area will see it and maybe reach out to you that way. Um, Show up for people. Go to Pride events. Just offer to give a hug to somebody. That can change your life and make their lives a little better too. If you want to support financially, standinpride.org, you can donate there. We are constantly needing money to keep this app going because we're still new. We're still just a little baby app, and we don't have any sort of advertising yet. Hopefully that will come. Um, I would love to get a corporate sponsor. So if anybody knows a corporation that's looking to give away a few $1,000,000, I'll take it.
I like that. I'll take it.
Yeah. But yeah, we're just looking for different partnerships like that. There's so much more that I want to do with this app, among giving people a space to connect, but also to educate. My goal is to have educators in our community do blog posts. And so allies
I
like
love that.
yourself and others can learn that way and answer a lot of questions that you may have not wanted to ask somebody directly.
I think it's a great app. I think it's a terrific idea. And before I let you go, because I could talk to you all day,
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe May 31st that you put out the most fantastic video of you like, guess what's coming up? And
Oh,
from head to toe pride. It was so fantastic. I loved it. Now, is that new this year or is it the same one you've used year after year?
it's an old video that I repost every year. I love to see it every year, and people get so excited to see that, just that representation again. But
Yes.
yeah, that's one of my favorite videos because those transitions are not easy like that. So like
Mm.
it took a lot of tries, I remember, but this old man finally figured it out.
You did great. Not an old man, but you have lived several lives, I feel like. Oh my gosh, all you have done and accomplished, like big breath for sure.
And we're just getting started.
You're living your best life.
There's so many things going on that I can't even tell you about yet. But
I'll
yeah,
be following.
yeah, there's just we really are just getting started, which is crazy to think that I've already been doing this for 4.5 years and it's really just getting started.
Well, I know you have a million other things to do, so I'm going to let you go do them, but you have made my day. I'm so grateful and honored that you took time to talk with me. I think you're an incredible human, and I'm so grateful you are alive when I'm alive and I get to actually spend time with you. So thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has meant
I
so much to
appreciate
me. I'm
that.
so excited.
I've enjoyed this hour has just flown by.
Like I said, I could talk to you all day. Don't you love him? So proving what an outstanding person Dan is. After we got done with our chat on Friday, for whatever reason, because, these things just happen to me, I could not get that interview to properly upload in the normal amount of time. So it's an online recording studio, and usually it takes maybe 5 minutes to upload the whole thing. I am not kidding you when I say Dan waited 43 minutes with me after that interview for the thing to upload. He's like, I've never been on a line this long with anybody after an interview. And he couldn't have been funnier and cooler. And I'm sorry if you were his next client in his salon, because he said nobody was waiting. But I don't know. He's just so kind. He might have been just saying that because he wanted to make sure it uploaded for me. But truly, I can't say enough good things about him. Don't forget the Stand in Pride app. It is up. It is running now. If you are looking for a friend or a family member to stand in where others have ghosted, or if you want to be there for somebody who could use some love and strength, that app is absolutely for you. I hope you go. I hope you support it. I also hope you follow Dan if you're not already, and Stand in Pride on all social media platforms. It really is such a truly beautiful organization, and I'm so honored to be able to really get into what they do, especially during Pride Month. There's just no better time to learn about it. Oh, and speaking of learning about something, I have great news. I have officially adulted, my friends. I have the website. My own website is finally, seriously, it took like a month plus, but it's finally up. It is live. I have an actual email address up there that makes sense. The website is ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. You will see all about the podcast in there, all the different platforms to listen, YouTube to watch it. I have condensed it into one location to make it easier to find. So I hope you enjoy it. I had lots of fun putting it together. I really didn't, but I'm just saying I did with a smile on my face. No, I'm just so glad it's up. So ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. Please get a hold of me if you know somebody that you think would be great on the podcast. I would love to hear from you and just what you think about it. If you have any suggestions or whatever, ErinO'Malley'sFrequency.com. Have a great week. Thank you so much for being here.